Hello, I'm Frank Brazel, Professor of History at Manna University and a student in the PhD in History program at Liberty University. In this video series, we explore the history of Cumberland County during the colonial era and early republic. This research seeks to highlight the role of Cumberland County and of Fayetteville, its principal city, in the wider events of the American Revolution and early republic. In this first video, we begin with early European settlement of Cumberland County and conclude on the eve of the American Revolution, when Scottish Highlanders, many of them veterans of the 7 Years' War, made up the majority of new settlers in the region. Welcome to Cumberland County, a history. Cumberland County lies in southeastern North Carolina, approximately 100 miles upstream of Wilmington, along the banks of the Cape Fear River, with most of the modern county to the west of the river. This river forms the most notable geographic landmark of the region and has served as a highway for goods and people since its earliest settlement by Native Americans. John Brickell, writing in 1737 on the natural history of North Carolina, remarked,
Cape Fear River is the second considerable and large river, and is one of the best for navigation in these parts. There is a large river which is the northeast branch of Cape Fear River, but it is distinguished or called by no proper name that I know of at present.
For Brickell, the upper reaches of the Cape Fear River were simply the home of various native tribes, and he notes the Saponi and Kiowa among them, though the territory of both groups ascended well north of present-day Cumberland County by the 1730s. On his map of the region from the same decade, British surveyor Edward Moseley noted a Welsh settlement just to the south of Rockfish Creek at the southern tip of what would become Cumberland County. Further north and above the river's fall line, native tribes provided the only large-scale settlement. It is notable that both Brickell and Moseley did not note the small landing founded just below the fall line of the river. From this landing, people and goods could be transported overland to the burgeoning settlements of the interior. In reverse, products from the interior could be loaded onto boats and shipped downriver first to Wilmington, and then ultimately to colonial and British markets. Over the next 2 decades, the region would continue to experience steady population growth through immigration. Originally part of Bladen County, settlement on the western side of the river had increased to the point wherein it was difficult to conduct administration for the county's westernmost reaches. As a result, on February 22, 1754, a proposal was put forth in the House of Burgesses by William Bartram of Bladen County to divide that county. Within days, an official bill was put forth, with Cumberland County put forth as the proposed name. So began an ironic association. The new county was named for Prince William Augustus, the Duke of Cumberland and the youngest son of King George II. Cumberland was at that time the Captain General of the British Army, the favored son of George II, and renowned victor at the Battle of Culloden in 1746. It was at Culloden that Cumberland had established his legacy, putting down the Jacobite Rising of 1745, in which Scottish Highlanders had rallied to the support of the Stuart claimant to the British throne, Charles Stuart, also known as the Young Pretender. With Cumberland's crushing defeat of the Highlanders at Culloden, the nature of Anglo-Scotch relations would undergo a period of profound change. Concurrent with this process, in which Scotland became more firmly unified with England, were major changes in the Scottish system of land rents. The clan system in which Highland society had long been ensconced had been shifting for decades. Culloden accelerated that process. Already, Highland Scots from Argyll had been immigrating to the region, and with the end of the 7 Years' War in 1763, further grants of land in Cumberland County were offered to veterans from Highland regiments in recognition of their service. An increase in rents for land tenants in Scotland, combined with the availability of land in North Carolina, encouraged further waves of immigration. The writer of a tract inducing Highlanders to immigrate, writing under the name Scotus Americanus, described the problems faced by Scots at home.
But, at any rate, can it be expected that tenants upon short leases can do anything remarkable in this way, especially at this period when, instead of the tender indulgence and encouragement requisite to bring forward agriculture in a country still lying in a state of nature, nothing is held but new impositions, new customs, and a rise in rents equal to, if not beyond, what the gross produce of the ground can amount to.
The same tract describes the region in Cumberland County wherein a sizable community of Scots had established itself in the twin settlements of Cross Creek and Campbellton. A road would lead from Cross Creek into the North Carolina backcountry settlement of Salisbury, with Cross Creek continuing to provide a key link between the coast and the interior. For the Highlanders, settlement in Cumberland County was closely tied to personal freedom, which they found in the possession and ownership of land. While a system of rents still existed in British North America, the capacity for personal freedom and eventual ownership was much greater than they had experienced under the clan system in Scotland. The lands of Cumberland County provided for many Highlanders a chance at freedom. For those same Highlanders, it was the British Empire which provided assurance of that freedom. However, not all residents of Cumberland County felt the same way. In the 1760s, the Sons of Liberty had organized a public protest in Cross Creek, mirroring the actions of the same group throughout the colonies in protest of British taxation efforts. By the early 1770s, citizens of Cross Creek had become caught up in the regulator movement, which swept through North Carolina's backcountry in protest of what they viewed as unfair governance from the eastern counties. Though the movement was ultimately put down by Royal Governor William Tryon, armed conflict over the alleged abuses of royal government had begun. Further conflict with Britain was coming, and the loyalty of Cumberland County was far from assured.